okay, you about to be single forever then, because disagreements are just a part of life. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, Apparently Ashley. Today we're talking about Married at First Sight, Season 13, Episode 12. This week, the couples were basically getting to know how their spouse lives on a day-to-day basis, like morning, afternoon, night routines, that type of thing. And of course, some couples struggled a little more than others. So let's go ahead and jump right into the first one. So we're gonna start with Bao and Johnny because they had a time. Johnny is just not it for me. Like, I wanted to reach in that screen and shake him because he was being so rude, so mean to Bao, and she just didn't deserve that at all. So basically, he was telling her that everything that she does for him basically is like baseline actions for him. Like, yeah, you do my laundry, but like I can do my own laundry. Or like, yeah, you cook and keep the fridge stocked, but like that doesn't mean anything. Like, I can do that myself. Like, I need you to flirt with me and romance me and woo me and all these things. And I'm just like, you about to sit here and tell this woman that all this stuff she's doing for you doesn't matter. But then if she stopped doing it, I bet you would have a problem, right? And so she's of course feeling like defeated because she's just like, okay, I understand you want me to take more initiative and like romancing you and all this stuff. Cool. But on the flip side, I also need you to appreciate these things I am doing because we already don't have enough time in the day to do what we want to do. And so the time I do have, I'm doing things for you. So that was annoying. They get in this argument. He ends up going in the room screaming at the top of his lungs. He's screaming, he slams the door and walks back out, and she looks so scared, y'all. Like, she looks so timid. And you can just see like in her body language, she's like, I don't know what this man's gonna do. And he was just like, I just don't think we're compatible. And I'm like, do you think compatibility means that you have to agree with each other all the time? Because that's not what it is. Because he was just like, we look at things differently and we just approach things in different ways. And I'm like, yeah, because you're two different people. That's what happens in relationships. You merge two people together and find out how to like compromise your way through the rest of life. You know what I mean? The fact that he was just like, we're not compatible because we disagree. I'm just like, okay, you about to be single forever then, because disagreements are just a part of life. Anyway, fast forward to like the next day. He didn't stay at the apartment, shocker. They were supposed to go to a family barbecue for like his family's birthday or something like that. It was a crab boil, whatever. She didn't go because he called her and said he doesn't want her to be there. Because he was like, well, if I'm not even sure if I want to be married to her, I don't want her getting attached to my family and vice versa. So she just needs to stay home. So of course she was pissed. And so while she was at home, she was meal prepping for them for the whole week. She was like, you better appreciate this when he comes home too. And I'm like, that's right, Bao. Honestly, I don't think I would have wanted to go to the crab boil anyway, because I know I've said that like I would save face in front of people if we're having an argument or whatnot. But like in those scenarios, I'm thinking about like if we're in the car and an argument happens right before the event, not like we arguing the day before and we still have an event to go to, because I would be like, we need to fix this now. Like, I just don't like things lingering. So, I mean, I probably still would have went, I don't know, whatever. Sometime after the crab boil, they do get on video chat with Pastor Cal, and Pastor Cal is like, you know, you're self-sabotaging, you're just trying to discredit this relationship, all this stuff. And Johnny was sitting there like, I would have rather been married to anybody else than her. Like, I don't want to be married to her. Like, she's not the person I want. We're not compatible. And I'm just like, he's really saying this stuff and she's right there. Like, do you know that? And she started crying, of course, because those things were rude and mean. And Pastor Cal was like, Johnny, I need you to tell me and then tell Bao that you're going to see the positives in this relationship and try to stick to it and try to see the beauty in Bao, which should be the name of like her mixtape or a book or something, The Beauty in Bao. Anyway, he turns to her and he says like, I'm gonna try and make it work. But I don't know, man, because he really has this idea of like what marriage should be. And it's this like fantasized stuff that's just they're not things that happen on the everyday basis, you know? And I think that like if it happened consistently and then that one day it didn't happen, he would just be like, oh, but I'm not meant to be in this anymore. Like, no, that's not how that works. So we will see what happens with them, but they were just going through it. And I wouldn't be mad if they don't stay together because Johnny is not ready for marriage, and I don't want Bao to be with him. All right, let's move on to Brett and Ryan. So they're still in the same boat where they're trying to get this like emotional connection from each other, but it's just not working. Like they are just completely missing each other. So Ryan meets with his sister and he's telling her that, you know, I thought I would have felt X, Y, and Z way by now, but I'm not, and I'm really trying to make this work, but like it's just not happening. So she was just like, you need to tell her how you feel, because you think that you're helping her out by not telling her, but you're really doing more damage than good. And I'm like, great advice, because him just dragging her along like this, she's over there having all the hope in the world, thinking that one day he's gonna wake up and be like, you know what, I do like her. But little does she know, he don't want nothing to do with her. He goes back to the apartment and you think that he's about to tell her how he feels, and he's like, literally, here's like the bush, and he's just like dancing all around it. Like he's like, well, you know, I'm tired, and when I'm tired, I'm not fun to be around, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you gonna say it or not? And it ends up him just saying like, we're just gonna sleep in separate bedrooms. So I didn't even know they were sleeping apart, because apparently he'd been sleeping on the couch, but now he's gonna move into the other bedroom instead. And so I'm just like, what was the point of this conversation? And she knows something is going on, because she's not dumb. Like it's obvious, like they are not progressing whatsoever. And she's over there like steady trying, and it's just not working. So they are definitely not gonna make it. One thing I will note about Brett is how messy that girl is. Like they were showing footage for how the closet looks, and I was like, you need to get it together, girl, because this is not okay. And he was just like talking to his sister about it. And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like this isn't a reason to like divorce somebody, but it is something that needs to be like worthy of a conversation, because you're not about to be living in my house like this. Like what? It was stuff everywhere, like no type of organization. You know how sometimes messy people be like, well, it's organized to me. No, there was no way that there was any type of organization in that mess. So y'all let me know, are y'all typically like super clean and organized and knows where everything is, or are you more of like the messy organized person where like to the outsiders it looks messy, but to you it's organized? Let me know. All right, let's move on to Rachel and Jose. So they're in a way better spot than they were last week after that whole big blow up. They were at a winery, and Rachel brought up the fact that, so she's a teacher, so she has the whole summer off, and she was like, you know, if I'm in the house all day bored while you're at work, like you just need to brace yourself. Very like ominous. Like, what are you talking about, girl? And he was just like, okay. And she was like, you know, like you can't criticize me at all. Like I'm gonna be out the door. Like just don't talk to me. Like I'll just blow up on you. And I was like, why are you saying this to him? Like what? What good is this doing? And so naturally he was just like, okay, like I don't really know how to take this. And so even with that, there's not really much else for me to say about it, because I don't know what her point was for saying it, but it was just very weird. It was like bringing this negativity into their relationship when she started off the conversation saying, we're in a good spot, but hey, let me mess this up a little bit and shake the table and tell you that over the summer, things might get a little rocky. Like, girl, that was pointless. But other than that, nothing really happened with them. They were cooking breakfast in the beginning of the episode. And Rachel was talking about how like cooking just makes her feel really impatient because she's hungry in that moment and she doesn't have to wait. She doesn't want to wait and cook. And I was like, oh girl, that is so relatable, because sometimes I be having plans to cook, but then I'd be like too hungry to cook, because I'd be like, no, I want my food now, like not in 30 minutes when I'm done cooking. So because of that, sometimes I eat out more than I actually intend to during the week. I think in a perfect world, I would eat home cooked food 3 to 4 times out the week, maybe even 5, and then just eat out those other days. But it more so happens the other way around. So y'all let me know, do you prefer to eat home cooked food, or do you prefer to cook your food? Because just because you eat home cooked don't mean you cooked it. You prefer to cook your food, or do you prefer to go out to eat? What's your ideal world with that whole thing? Let me know down below. All right, moving on to Michaela and Zack. They had a good episode this week, but we all know that the rage is coming soon. They went on this really cute date to play bubble ball, where they were basically in these like bubble containers and like ramming into each other. And I thought it was the funniest thing. And I was like, I have to go there. So they did that. They had a cute little scrapbooking date, and then they wrote like cute poems for each other. And then Zack mentioned something about like loving Michaela forever. So that definitely made her feel all warm and fuzzy inside, because she was like, you know, I never heard him mention loving me in a long-term type of way. So that gave her some type of like security in the relationship. So as of right now, they're in a good spot, but it ain't gonna last. All right, last is Myrla and Gil, and I love them. They are just so cute. Myrla is so in love with Gil. Like, she hasn't said it yet to us, but you can just tell that she is happy in this relationship. Gil even said that he's not renewing his lease on his apartment, so they're basically, it's already confirmed that they're gonna say yes on decision day, because they were apartment hunting. And y'all, get this. You remember a couple weeks ago, Myrla was like, I'm not a dog person. I don't want to walk your dog. I don't want it to be around me. They showed some clips of her walking hype, feeding hype, doing all this stuff. And how about she wants a dog now? And I was just like, look at that. Look at the turnaround. So that was super cute, but they're in a good spot. Gil did say something about like how Myrla always wants new things, and so he's worried that like she might get tired of him when he's not new anymore. That was a valid thought, but like I don't think she's like, that's making her seem really, really shallow, and I don't think she's like that. But other than that, they're in a good spot, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how their relationship progresses the rest of the season. All right, y'all, that wraps up my review of this week's episode of Married at First Sight, season 13, episode 12. Don't forget to comment below, subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and go ahead and hit that like button as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.